Big news here in the state of Idaho. Our Governor Brad Little has just signed into law a bill that bans most abortions after about 6 weeks of conception. Hey, what's up? It's Benj here with Triple Cord Real Estate, and in this video, I want to get into the specifics of this latest bill that our governor just signed into law. So as I've been saying over the past year, pro-life groups have been trying to get this Fetal Heartbeat Bill passed and signed into law, and it just was signed into law by the governor on Tuesday of this week. With it being signed, Idaho is now the first state to pass a law that is modeled after this Texas legislation that basically bans abortions after 6 weeks of conception. So here's the logic of the law, and then I'll get into the specifics. It's called the Fetal Heartbeat Bill, and it states that human life of each human being begins at fertilization, and preborn children have an interest in life, health, and well-being, and therefore should be protected by Idaho law. Now, I actually read through the entire law here just so I'd be familiar with what it says. And according to Idaho legislation, the heartbeat is a core determining factor for establishing human life. And that makes sense, doesn't it? How do you know if somebody's dead? You put your hand on their wrist or on their neck to see if there's a heartbeat. So if there is a heartbeat, then the implication is that there is life in that human being. And therefore, the state of Idaho has compelling interest in protecting the life of a preborn child at all stages of its development, including after the preborn child has a detectable heartbeat. So according to Idaho state law, if you have a heartbeat, you are alive, and if you are alive, you should be protected. What are the specifics of the law? No one can perform an abortion on a pregnant woman after a heartbeat has been detected. Now, that's usually around 6 weeks after conception. Now, there is the exception in the event that a rape has occurred or incest or a medical emergency. So there are exceptions for those cases. But if a woman is, heaven forbid, raped, and she wants an abortion, she will have to file a claim or a report to the governing authorities and then provide that report to the physicians before they are allowed to abort that baby. Now, what are the penalties if the law is broken? According to this new law, if you are the father, the mother, the sibling of the father or the mother, or the grandparents of this preborn baby, so either on the father's side or on the mother's side, or an aunt or an uncle of this preborn child, you can file a civil suit against a physician that aborts a baby up to 4 years after that abortion has been performed, and you're allowed a minimum of $20,000 in damages. Now, there is an exception if you are the rapist or the person that is guilty of committing incest. You can't file a suit against the physician. So this law is effective within 30 days of it being signed, which was just this past Tuesday. But the whole abortion question actually is in the courts now. It's in the appellate courts. And remember, a couple months ago, the Supreme Court actually just heard a very important case that it's going to give a ruling on in the next few months, which possibly could overturn the constitutionality of Roe versus Wade. Now, of course, pro-abortion advocates have been quick to go after this law. Our neighboring states, Washington and Oregon, both of their governors have been kind of fishing for Idahoans and recruiting Idahoans, telling them that you are more than welcome to come to our state in order to abort your baby. We'll gladly do away with your child if you don't want them. CNN picked up the news as well. I read an article that quoted some college website that they were trying to make the case that it's not proper to call it a heartbeat until the chambers of the heart have been developed and can be detected through ultrasound, which they are claiming is about 17 to 20 weeks after conception. Which is totally ridiculous, first of all, but also, who's to say what fully developed means? I mean, what's a fully developed hand, or what's a fully developed baby? Fully developed baby is one who's born. So that's totally ridiculous. They also say that those heartbeats that you hear on the ultrasound monitor are not heartbeats, they're electronic impulses that signify fetal cardiac activity. the article says. Now, did you get what they're doing here? They're actually dehumanizing the baby in the mother's womb. It's much easier to say that you are terminating fetal cardiac activity than it is to say that you are taking a human life. The president of Planned Parenthood also spoke up this past week. Alexis McGill Johnson says, quote, "We will not sit by idly as Idaho's rights to abortion is stripped from them. We've said it before and we'll say it again. Planned Parenthood's doors remain open in Idaho, and we will continue fighting for patients and our communities." So they are saying that Planned Parenthood is an abortion provider. Remember back in the Obama years, I thought their argument was that Planned Parenthood is a healthcare provider, not an abortion provider. But I guess the president of Planned Parenthood is now making it abundantly clear that their goal is to provide abortions to women who want them. And then, of course, Jen Psaki, the press secretary, picked up on this. She says, quote, "The Biden-Harris administration will continue to stand with women and support their right to make their own healthcare decisions, a constitutional right that Roe versus Wade reaffirmed nearly 5 decades ago, and the president again calls on Congress to act and send a bill to his desk to shut down these radical steps." She calls this law devastating for women in Idaho. I call it life-saving for babies in Idaho. And I'll also add that abortion is found nowhere in the Constitution. I actually just read a good book by Ted Cruz called One Vote Away, and he goes into detail on this, on other Supreme Court cases. But abortion should be a decision for the states, not the federal government. Nearly every constitutional scholar recognizes this. In fact, in order to uphold Roe versus Wade, the Supreme Court had to ground that case in the right to privacy, not in the right to an abortion. So to our governor, Brad Little, I say great job signing it into law and not letting anyone intimidate you. Thank you so much for watching. If you have any questions about real estate or life here in Boise, feel free to reach out to me. In the meantime, if you want to check out another video on life here in Boise, check out this video right here.